The Harmony Arena pulsed with the heartbeat of music, its cavernous dome awash in swirling stage lights that danced to the rhythm of anthems. The air thrummed with amplified bass, the roar of thousands of fans, and the electric energy of a benefit concert raising funds for youth mental health programs. Music icons took the stage, but none shone brighter than Taylor Swift, whose voice and presence wove a spell over the crowd, her songs a tapestry of emotion and connection. Then, at 9:18 p.m., in the midst of her set, she vanished. For 20 mysterious minutes, the pop superstar who commanded arenas was nowhere to be found. No trace, no explanation. Backstage crews scrambled, their headsets crackling with urgent queries. Fans whispered, their eyes fixed on the empty mic stand bathed in a lone spotlight. Where had she gone? What could pull her from the peak of performance? When she returned, a single strand of hair out of place and a serene smile on her face, the truth unraveled. A gesture so heartfelt it sent the arena into a tidal wave of cheers, a crescendo that rivaled the climax of her greatest hits. The Harmony Arena was a monument to musical grandeur, its architecture a blend of sleek modernity and acoustic perfection. Its dome soared high above the crowd, reflecting the vibrant hues of LED screens and laser displays. Backstage, the wings were a labyrinth of cables, instruments, and memorabilia, signed posters, glittering costumes, and stacks of set lists. The benefit concert was a whirlwind of sound and purpose. Artists blended pop, rock, and hip-hop, fans snapped selfies with rising stars, and a house band jammed remixes of classic hits. The event's mission was to fund mental health resources for teens, and Taylor Swift was its beating heart, her star power driving donations to unprecedented heights. She took the stage in a shimmering sequin dress, her presence radiant as she waved to the sea of glowing wristbands, her smile a beacon of warmth. Her set was signature Taylor, vibrant, relatable, and brimming with emotion. She transitioned seamlessly from upbeat anthems to soulful ballads, her voice carrying the weight of shared experiences. "These teens," she said, pausing mid-song to speak into the mic, her tone earnest, "they face storms we can't always see. This night we're their shelter." The crowd roared, their applause a wave that crashed through the arena. But her bandmates, attuned to her every nuance, caught a fleeting melancholy in her eyes. As she adjusted her earpiece, her fingers brushed a small locket tucked into her dress, a folded note nestled inside. Earlier that day, she'd been uncharacteristically reflective, skipping the final rehearsal to sit alone in her dressing room, her gaze distant as she traced the note's edges. The concert rolled on, each performance building the energy higher. Swift mingled backstage between sets, sharing lyric writing tips with a young rapper and laughing with a guitarist about the chaos of tour life. "It's all about connection," she told the rapper, her voice soft but firm. "That's what keeps us grounded." Then came the interruption. A girl in a crew t-shirt approached, her eyes wide with a mix of nerves and determination. She was young, barely out of her teens, her hands clasped tightly to steady them. "Ms. Swift," she said, her voice cutting through the backstage clamor. "It's critical. Please." Taylor's gaze softened, her intuition sensing the weight of the moment. "Keep it short," she said gently, following the girl through a side exit into the dim, winding passages beneath the arena. The vibrant energy of the concert faded, replaced by the muffled thump of bass and the hum of industrial air systems. Minutes ticked by, 5, 10, 15, and Swift's absence became a void that echoed through the arena. A fan in the front row leaned toward her friend, whispering, "She's gone?" Photographers angled their lenses, sensing a story. Security teams fanned out, their radios buzzing with tense updates as they searched the backstage maze. The understage passages were a stark contrast to the glittering spectacle above. Concrete walls, lined with cables and pipes, carried the faint scent of sweat and electrical equipment. The girl, Sarah, led with purpose, her earlier nervousness replaced by a quiet resolve. "It's this way," she said, glancing back at Taylor. "She's waiting, and she's so hopeful." They reached a small green room, its door slightly ajar, revealing a 13-year-old girl sitting on a worn couch, a journal open on her lap. Her name was Emma, and her eyes lit up with a mix of awe and disbelief as Taylor stepped inside. "You came," Emma said, her voice quivering with emotion, her fingers tightening around the journal. Taylor froze, her superstar aura melting away. She glanced at Sarah, then back to Emma, the pieces falling into place. "For you? Always," she whispered, her voice soft as a lullaby. Sarah eased the door closed, creating a quiet haven amid the chaos of the concert. Emma was part of a mental health initiative supported by the Benefit, a teenager grappling with anxiety that often left her feeling isolated. Months earlier, she'd sent Taylor a letter, a heartfelt note scribbled in the margins of a lyric journal. "Your songs make me feel less alone. I'm fighting my fears, but it's hard. I want to write music too." The letter had arrived in Taylor's inbox by chance, buried among fan messages and promotional emails. But its raw vulnerability struck a chord, echoing Taylor's own battles with anxiety and the pressures of fame. She'd kept the note in her locket, a reminder of the human connection at the heart of her music. Sarah, Emma's cousin and a crew member for the event, had seized the opportunity to arrange this meeting, knowing what it would mean to her cousin. In the cozy green room, surrounded by vending machine snacks and a flickering fluorescent light, a bond formed. Taylor sat beside Emma, her sequin dress catching the dim glow as she leaned in to listen. Emma opened her journal, sharing lyrics she'd written, raw, unpolished verses about fear, hope, and finding her voice. "I want to sing my truth," she said, her voice steady despite the tremble in her hands. "Like you do. You're already harmonizing," Taylor replied, her smile warm and encouraging. "Your words, they're powerful. Keep writing." Emma's eyes sparkled, and she tilted her head, studying Taylor with a quiet intensity. "Do you ever get scared of performing?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if sharing a secret. The question hit Taylor like a soft chord, resonating with her own private struggles. To the world, she was poised, untouchable, a global icon who commanded stages with ease. But behind the curtain, she wrestled with the weight of expectations, the fear of faltering under the spotlight. "Every single time," she confided, her voice low and honest. "But music? It's my anchor. It heals. Keep singing, Emma. Your voice matters." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a signed guitar pick, its surface etched with a tiny star. "Your lucky charm," she said, pressing it into Emma's hand. Sarah, standing quietly by the door, wiped away a tear, her heart swelling with gratitude. The 20 minutes passed in a blur of shared stories and quiet encouragement. Emma spoke of her dreams, to write songs, to perform, to help others feel less alone. Taylor listened, offering gentle advice and sharing snippets of her own journey, from scribbling lyrics in her childhood bedroom to navigating the pressures of stardom. She spoke of the nights she'd felt overwhelmed, the moments she'd turned to music to find peace. Emma nodded, her confidence growing with each word, her journal clutched tightly as if it held her future. As their time drew to a close, Emma stood and threw her arms around Taylor, a quick, fierce hug. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Taylor hugged her back, her smile soft but radiant. "Keep shining, Emma." Taylor emerged from the green room, her composure intact but her heart fuller. She slipped back onto the stage just as the band transitioned into her encore. Her reappearance met with a ripple of relief from the crew. The crowd, unaware of the moment that had unfolded, greeted her with a surge of cheers, their energy reigniting the arena. Sarah, overcome with emotion, shared the story with the stage manager, who passed it to the MC. As the concert neared its close, the MC took the mic, her voice trembling with awe as she recounted Taylor's quiet act of kindness. The arena fell silent, the weight of the story sinking in. Then, like a melody reaching its peak, the crowd erupted, their cheers a soaring chorus that shook the dome. As the fans poured out into the night, the melody of those cheers lingered, a reminder of the night's deeper harmony. True artistry isn't just about chart-topping hits or sold-out tours. It's in the shadowed, selfless moments that mend hearts and spark courage. In the blaze of performance, it's the backstage bonds, tucked away in quiet havens far from the roar of the crowd, that define a legacy. Taylor's 20 minutes belonged to Emma, a young voice finding its tune, just as Taylor once had. And that was enough. The truest melodies often resonate in silence, their beauty heard only by those they touch. The benefit concert had been in the works for nearly a year, a collaborative effort between music industry giants, mental health advocates, and local organizations. The Harmony Arena was chosen for its iconic status, its acoustics renowned for amplifying every note to perfection. The event's goal was bold: to fund counseling services, creative arts programs, and peer support groups for teens across the country, particularly those in underserved communities. Taylor Swift's involvement was a game-changer, her name drawing sponsors, celebrities, and fans eager to support the cause. Her set was the evening's centerpiece, a chance to blend her music with a message of hope and resilience. In the hours before the show, Taylor had been a whirlwind of activity, rehearsing with her band, reviewing lighting cues, and signing posters for the charity auction. But there was a quiet undercurrent to her demeanor, a reflective pause that puzzled her team. Her stylist noticed her lingering over the locket, her fingers tracing the folded note inside as she sat in her dressing room, the hum of pre-show chaos fading into the background. The note was an anomaly in her world of polished performances and meticulous schedules, a teenager's plea, raw and unfiltered, that seemed to carry a weight she didn't explain. The concert itself was a celebration of music's power to unite and heal. The lineup was eclectic, blending pop superstars with indie artists and hip-hop prodigies. Fans danced in the aisles, their wristbands glowing in sync with the beat, while backstage, the energy was just as electric. Artists swapped stories between sets, crew members hustled to keep the show on track, and volunteers like Sarah darted through the chaos, ensuring everything ran smoothly. Taylor navigated this whirlwind with her usual grace, pausing to take selfies with fans and share a laugh with the drummer about the quirks of tour buses. But her mind kept drifting to the locket, to the note that had found her in a moment of quiet amidst the noise. Sarah's interruption came at a pivotal moment, just as Taylor was preparing for her next song. The young crew member had been volunteering as part of a youth program tied to the benefit, her role involving everything from handing out water bottles to guiding VIPs. She'd grown up watching her cousin Emma struggle with anxiety, finding solace in Taylor's music. Emma's letter to Taylor had been a desperate reach, a way to connect with the artist who made her feel understood. When Sarah learned Taylor would be headlining, she saw a chance to give Emma something more than inspiration, a moment of real connection. She'd coordinated with a stage manager to gain access to the green room, a quiet space where Emma could feel safe. The plan was risky, but Sarah knew it could change everything for her cousin. The green room was a small oasis in the backstage chaos, its walls lined with faded tour posters and a vending machine stocked with snacks. Emma sat on the couch, her journal open to a page of lyrics she'd written late at night, her hands trembling with anticipation. When Taylor walked in, Emma's face lit up, her anxiety momentarily eclipsed by all. The superstar knelt beside her, her sequin dress brushing the floor as she asked about the journal, her voice gentle and curious. Emma hesitated at first, then began to read, her words a mix of pain and hope, a reflection of her inner world. Taylor listened, nodding encouragingly, her presence a steady anchor. The conversation flowed effortlessly, a duet of shared experiences. Emma spoke of the nights she'd spent listening to Taylor's albums, finding comfort in lyrics that mirrored her own struggles. Taylor shared stories of her early days, writing songs in her bedroom, unsure if anyone would ever hear them. She spoke of the anxiety that still crept in before performances, the pressure to be perfect, and how she'd learned to channel it into her music. "Your fears don't define you," she told Emma, her voice steady. "Your courage does. And you've got so much of it." Emma's eyes shone, her journal clutched tightly as she absorbed the words. The guitar pick was a small gesture, but to Emma, it was a talisman, a reminder that her dreams were valid, that her voice could resonate. Sarah watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. She'd taken a chance, and it had paid off in ways she couldn't have imagined. As their time drew to a close, Taylor stood, offering Emma one last piece of advice. "Write what scares you. That's where the magic is." Emma nodded, her smile bright and determined, and the hug that followed was a moment of pure connection, a melody that needed no stage. When Taylor returned to the stage, the crowd was restless, their anticipation tinged with confusion. Her band played a transitional riff, buying time as she slipped back into place, her mic in hand. The performance continued flawlessly, her voice soaring through the arena, but there was a new depth to her presence, a quiet strength that hadn't been there before. Sarah, unable to keep the moment to herself, shared the story with the stage manager, who passed it to the MC. As the concert drew to a close, the MC took the stage, her voice trembling with emotion as she recounted Taylor's act of kindness. The arena fell silent, the weight of the story sinking in. Then, like a song reaching its chorus, the cheers erupted, a wave of emotion that shook the dome and carried into the night. In the days that followed, the story spread like wildfire. Fans shared it on social media. Hashtags like #SwiftSlip and #Heartfelt hit trending worldwide. Bloggers wrote about the power of small gestures, and mental health advocates praised Taylor's commitment to the cause. But for Taylor, the moment was personal, a reminder of why she'd started writing songs, to connect, to heal, to make others feel seen. And for Emma, it was a turning point, a spark that ignited her courage to keep writing, to keep singing, to keep chasing her dreams. As the fans spilled out into the starlit night, the echo of those cheers lingered, a testament to the night's true melody. Artistry isn't just about the spotlight or the roar of the crowd, it's in the quiet moments that mend hearts and inspire courage. In the whirlwind of performance, it's the unseen connections, in small green rooms, away from the glare of fame, that define a legacy. Taylor's 20 minutes were Emma's, a gift to a young voice finding its tune, just as Taylor once had. And that was enough. The truest melodies resonate in silence, their beauty heard only by those they touch.